That's the way they became the Shady Bunch.
Hello, good day, and welcome all you lovely Shady Bunchers to the latest episode of the arse-clenching and orgasm-inducing Shady Bunch with me, your resident co-host and squeaky scouser, Graham Hughes aka Cockhead Dundee. With it being silly season, conference season, there's an abundance of verbal diarrhea and total arse-wankery to choose from. But apart from speeches, there are the bountiful TV interview gaffes as well. And at the Shady Bunch, we dip our toes into the sewer of at least one of these and bring you the Shady Bunch interview. I shall now hand you over to the resident host, a man who every time he speaks his words should be immortalized as a pure, unvarnished truth, and whose farts smell of roses I know. I've sniffed them, and on many occasions, Shady Bunches. It's my darling, Phyllis Mooseface.
Hello, my name is Phyllis, and I like talking bollocks. Once again, thank you for your introduction. Everything you said about me is, of course, true. I am as near as it comes to being perfection, or Keir Starmer, as you can possibly get. As wonderful as I am, I must take the opportunity in between bouts of mutual masturbation to introduce the guests on this episode of the Shady Bunch. I have had a premature ejaculation followed by a multiple orgasm when I was informed by old sharts that this god amongst men was coming on the show. Shady Bunchers welcome the deity. That is Sir Curry and a beer or Keir to his besties. And I am one of your besties, aren't I?
Hello, all you Shady Bunchers. Is that the correct terminology? Let me just check with Morgan. Thank you, Phyllis Mooseface, for your slavish devotion to me, even when I sacked those 4 MPs for voting against the 2. Child benefit cap, you were there cheerleading for me. What a toady bum licker you are. And do continue licking my shoes. I can see my face in them after you've been to visit, and it's nearly as grey as yours. What people need to know is that I'm hard, okay. You don't mess with this son of a tool maker. And after nearly a year of copying his wing racist immigration policies, I want some applause and a big pat on the back for calling Froggy Boy. Farage's policies racist. At our Labour conference, the new Labour slogan is now fuck Farage. Back to you, Mr. Girly Bottom, licker Phyllis Mooseface.
Thank you, Sir Curry and a beer truly. Thanks be to you and praise be to the almighty Starmer. I take no pleasure at all in introducing our next guest onto the Shady Bunch. Strangely enough, there had been more requests for this creature than for my cult leader and god, Sir Curry and a beer. But as it had appeared on virtually every news programme on TV and the internet, it was only a matter of time before he polluted our show. Here's the frog, faced one himself, Smeagol Frogedge. Welcome to the Shady Bunch.
Thank you, Phyllis Mooseface. Are you sure that you and Sir Curry and a beer are not related? You are both very grey and equally boring. Now I am a very busy man. I am steering 3 parties right now, what's left of the Tories. I managed to completely fuck them over. And the current very watered, down Tory, light Labour Party. They all want to be like my deformed party and play monkey see, monkey do and Labour. Especially Sir Curry and a beer don't seem to grasp the fact that being like deformed will not win over deformed voters. Why have half fat deformed when you can have the full fat deformed led by my wonderful self? I destroyed the Tories, and Labour will go the same way. Sir Curry and beer is now the most unpopular PM since records began, even less popular than the lettuce. And that takes some achieving. Nice one, and back to you, Mr. Phyllis Mooseface.
Well, Smeagol Frogedge, I feel sure that there will be plenty of questions for you throughout the show, and we hope that you don't pull your whiny bitch act and run off claiming that we victimized you, because you are always the victim, aren't you, Smeagol? Right as I have Cockhead busy shining my body here, I guess it's down to me to introduce the next guest. We were not sure that we wanted him back on the show after he pissed off Superpants Ski and her call to fight fascists, after both she and Cockhead hid under their duvets when the Froggy Boy riots were happening. But as all sharts slipped me a manila envelope stuffed with cash, we've let him back on Shady Bunches. Welcome that very naughty creature who resides in number 10, Sir Larry the Cat.
Thank you, Phyllis Mooseface, and wow, Al, you are very grey, even greyer than the last time I was on the show. I can only guess that you do not invest in better equipment with all that lovely dough you make from YouTube and the other social media you are on. Even Mr. Shifty McGrifty invests in his equipment. I see his latest grift is pushing self-sufficiency. The real motive is pushing Europe to make more munitions and increasing nuclear energy, the sad old beardy loser. When I heard that you had the boring old bastard that is currently squatting in my home, Sir Curry, and a beer and that frog-faced creature whose constituents in Clacton have more chance of seeing a flying pink elephant than they do of seeing him, I just could not resist getting all sharts to put me on the show. Well, Cockhead, if you have finished shining Phyllis Mooseface's body, who gets to have the first question.
Oh, sorry. I was just finishing shining my darling Phyllis's body with my brasso, and it's lovely and shiny now. Phyllis has just told me that before I give him a vinegar stroke, that the first question must go to the person that we both idolise and adore, and who I didn't really campaign for his party to win, and dance my little cotton socks off under a Labour banner to the tune of "Things Can Only Get Better" on the night when Labour won Honest Gov. So it's over to you, the almighty Sir Curry, and a beer.
Thank you, Cockhead. Do you get that squeaky voice from all the rectal probing that you do of Phyllis's body? Well, Smeagol, sir, Ed, Davy has been very vocal and outspoken towards you and your deformed parties. He's claiming that you are a fascist and a massive grifter, and you are only interested in enriching yourself and your very rich chums, like that bloke with very nice Beaufort hair, little Dicky Lice. How do you respond to his allegations?
Honestly, I don't think you should take him too seriously. I mean, I thought the fact that he mentioned me 30 times in his speech suggested a new phenomenon of Farage derangement syndrome. He didn't mention the Prime Minister once. I think Kemi got a look in very briefly. Totally obsessive. He didn't tell the country what he was for in any way at all. Just what he's against, which is me and Trump. And he doesn't want us to live in a Trump-style country. And I understand that. He doesn't want borders. He doesn't want economic growth. He doesn't want women taken out of men taken out of women's sports. Look, honestly, I really don't think we should take anything he said yesterday seriously. It was a joke.
Now, Jesus might love you, Smeagol, but I think you're a Billy Hunt, and Labour's new slogan is going to be "Feck Farage," just like it says on this wonderful new line of my merch, the son of a toolmaker line of hoodies, which I wore especially for this interview. All together now, Feck Farage. I will just hand things over to Sir Larry for the next question.
Thank you very much, Sir Curry and a beer, you boring bastard. The hoodie still does not make you any more interesting. Oi, Froggy Boy, your deformed party, are nothing more than a one-trick and very pony party, just like the previous incarnations you kip, the Brexted's party, and now the very deformed party. Surely immigration can't have any life left in it, and you are flogging a dead horse. Hopefully not Granny Waddler Bottom, though. To you, every immigrant has six tattooed on their heads, and are thought of as being the anti-Christ. Now, what is this guff about refugees claiming benefits? You know that is a load of big, fat, hairy, spherical, shaped things, don't you?
Here's the point. When it comes to genuine refugees, if you study the record, they do not tend to live off social security. They tend actually to have been some of the hardest working and in many cases most successful people in the country. We have an unsustainable immigration system with the population exploding, an unsustainable welfare bill. Now 1 in 6 people on universal credit is foreign born. Right. This can't go on. And certainly we mustn't add to it in the next 3 years.
You are talking out of both sides of your mouth there, Smeagol, as well as out of your arse. Refugees are hardworking and do not put a strain on the benefits system as long as they are white, is what you are saying. And as long as they don't come into the UK via the Farage boats, then you pull this 1 in 6 benefit claimants are foreign-born nonsense out of your fat silver, spoon-fed arse, a statistic that you have no proof of. You are relying on people, not fact, checking your bullshit. The 2 things you have just said cannot both be true. You want people to think that refugees are stealing their benefits, when you know that refugees cannot claim benefits as they are not legally entitled to receive benefits, and your 1 in 6 foreign-born line is just more racist dog whistling from you. Well, I shall hand over to the snore fest that is Sir Curry and a beer to ask the next question.
We know how much of an orange, nappy, filling dementia Donny fanboy you are, just like Cockhead with Phyllis Mooseface. You think Donny's word is gospel and that he is the fountain of knowledge. What I want to find out from you is, do you also think that his medical advisor, Bobby Braindead, Brainworm, is correct, and dementia Donny by extension, after he declared that paracetamol should not be taken by pregnant women?
No, and I think this is very interesting. I mean, I do think individual countries should have their own debates and make their own health decisions, so I wouldn't follow what Mr. Kennedy's department does. I'd listen to what they have to say, but I wouldn't follow it. And frankly, nor would I follow the World Health Organization, who now seem to want to take some extraordinary powers that would allow them to lock us down in the future. No, having our own independent healthcare policy, making our own decisions, must be the right thing to do. That's an opinion he's got. It's not one that I necessarily share. But look, I mean, honestly, I've no idea. No idea. We were told thalidomide was a very safe drug, and it wasn't. Who knows? Nick, I don't know. You don't know. He has a particular thing about autism, I think because there's been some in his family, and he feels it very personally. I have no idea. That's an opinion he's got. It's not one that I necessarily share. But look, I mean, honestly, I've no idea.
So, Smeagol, Frog Arge, just exactly which side of this argument are you on? Do you side with your beloved orange nappy filling Donny, or do you side with science? As many scientific studies prove, what he just rattled out of his dementia-riddled brain is total rubbish. Which is it, dementia, Donny, or science?
Because science is never settled, and we should remember that.
Well, Smeagol, it has to be a kick in the nuts for you when that Git Curry and a beer labelled your policy for the removal of permanent leave to remain as being racist, which it is, and yet his party want a pat on the back after they've been copying your other nasty and borderline racist policies and have all of a sudden grown a spine. Would you care to try and enlighten us, or even translate the gobbledygook that the fat orange one with the swollen ankles that breaks escalators in the UN building came out with about Sharia law in London? He looked as though his meds hadn't kicked in, and he was having trouble with even putting a simple sentence together.
There are people who think their way of life is better than our way of life and that we should adjust to them. I think it's very frightening. And I think what Trump was aiming at with his big pitch, that the West's going to hell, is it's in danger of losing its culture, its heritage, its identity.
So should we all be living in fear that Sharia law will supersede our centuries old British laws?
I have concerns there are people living in Britain who would like for their culture to become our culture as opposed to the other way around. When have you ever seen the Jewish community trying to impose their will on us? They've had their own private observance, their own private way of doing things, but never any attempt to impose it upon everybody else. And the difference at the extreme ends of this, and you know this very, very well, is there are extreme ends of this that want us to become a country that follows their customs.
That's another of your fantasies. You do realize that Sharia law is just within the religion and is very local. Some areas have Jewish law, but you don't seem too bothered about those. Okay, I see once again it is because of the colour of their skin. Yet more racist dog whistling. Over to you, Mr. Mogadon, Sir Curry, and a beer.
You seem to be inferring that I am boring, Sir Larry. You do realise that my father was a toolmaker and that I go to as many Gooner home games as my donors will pay for me to have a private box. Up the Gooners. Smeagol, you seem to blindly believe everything that Dementia Donny says. How about when he said this? Please play the clip.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
If I said to you that swans were being eaten in royal parks in this country, that carp were being taken out of ponds and eaten in this country by people who come from cultures that have a different... Would you agree it's happening here?
Just what is your source for that massive load of pony that you have just farted out of that lying arsehole pretending to be your mouth?
I've met taxi drivers that have told me we will have Sharia law in Britain, you will live by our rules.
Really, a taxi driver, and what surprises me is that there are gullible smooth-brainers that will believe you and will be posting up that old RSPCA video from 2014 and claiming that it's happening now, and of course, you will not correct them. You will probably repost those, being the grifty bastard that you are, Smeagol. I bet you have someone working in your local chip shop that claims to be Elvis, and you would believe that as well if Trump told you. Fuck Farage. There I said it. Again, it's quite catchy, isn't it?
Well, Sir Curry, and a beer you are having a go at me for being a Trump lover. Now that's a bit rich coming from the man that was the Temu version of Postman Pat, and delivering Trump his love letters sealed with a loving kiss by him and Chucky's sausage fingers. Your lips turned a strange shade of orange after being attached to Trump's bum for so long. Some were calling that being statesman, but the reality is you were chasing that golden unicorn called the US free trade deal, something that I had bullshitted about for years, claiming it would replace the EU free trade deal, trying to outdo me and failing really badly. You got mugged off big time by Trump. He got a paid for by the taxpayers' expensive bum pampering by the royals on a state visit. And what did you get? A worthless piece of paper that says some tech companies might be investing in the UK. And you continue to brag about this mythical £160 billion investment, but nothing has been signed by anyone. All you have is a worthless IOU. My critics say that I would sell out the UK to Trump and the US at a drop of a hat. But at least I'm open about it, unlike you all that bum licking just so desperate to offload the UK onto the US. It's no wonder your poll ratings are in the toilet. You didn't just bend a knee, you bent both, and sucked that orange mushroom. You look really upset there, Phyllis Mooseface.
Yes, how dare you say such things about the love of my life, someone that I would crawl over broken glass just to sniff his shit. Sir Curry and a beer is human perfection. I have worn out my crusty sock just listening to those words like honey that dripped from his mouth. Any more unkind comments towards my beloved Sir Curry and a beer, and I will get Cockhead to put you on a timeout and have him ramble on with some nonsense about how he never actually campaigned for Labour for a whole 5 minutes when he knows he did after all the YouTube channel. It was called Labour Social. It was not called Tactical Voting Social, was it? And he has a very selective memory, poor lad, but he does shine my bot tea very nicely. I guess as much as I love the sound of my own voice, and I really do, that I should pass things over to that Sir Larry creature.
Thank you, Phyllis, very grey moose face, now Smeagol Frog Arge. I believe that you might have something in common with Angie Raver Blamer in that you both have an aversion to paying stamp duty. Perhaps you would like to tell the Shady Bunches who it is that actually owns that lovely house in your constituency of Clacton, where Lord Lucan has been spotted more times than you have been, now you have said that it is your house. But when the subject of stamp duty is bought up, it is your long-suffering wife's house. Would you care to elaborate on this?
I should have said we, all right? My partner bought it, so what?
It's paid
How
on
dare
it.
you? No, how dare you? It's her business, her money, her asset. And you know what? Actually, given that it's in the constituency, for security reasons, it's better.
Did that hit a nerve? How about your taxes? Will you be releasing your tax information should we be unfortunate enough to get a deformed government elected in the next elections?
I think it's probably an imposition too far.
You do like to bang on about transparency. Would that be something that you would consider doing?
But having said that, you know, at the point I become Prime Minister, then all of my business interests would have to be passed over to a trust anyway. So I think, frankly, that's, you know, it wouldn't matter.
So much for transparency and government accountability. Froggy, more wind and piss. Speaking of wind and piss, Sir Curry and a beer has some questions regarding Deform's vetting process. It's probably done on the back of a fag packet like their economic policies.
Smeagol, were you aware that one of your MPs, James McMurdoch, had served time in prison for beating his girlfriend? Is that someone that you, as party leader, would condone as being the face of your party for his local constituents, especially the female voters?
Did he? He wasn't vetted. He wasn't vetted. James McMurdoch was one of those many candidates who wasn't vetted at all by the party. Look, I didn't know any of this when I took back over as leader.
So you are saying that it was little Dick Lice's fault, as he was in charge before you took over the reins? Was it the lack of any kind of vetting process, or was it Uncle Tom Cobley and all? Do you not think that this raises some very serious issues regarding a lack of both safeguarding and any kind of vetting, that you would allow someone that has a conviction for assaulting a woman into Deform UK?
Let's be clear, he went to a young offenders institute. He was a teenager and he did something he shouldn't have done. He was out of control. He was out of control. That conviction is now spent.
All right,
he went on from that. He got qualified. He became a bond trader in the City of London. He's happily married with his 5th child on the way, and he's now become a Member of Parliament. If in a country that believes in Christian forgiveness, he is not a good example to young tearaways, I don't know what is. I honestly, I tell you what, there are young offenders institutes today full of people. If half of them turned out as well as James McMurdoch, we'd be a better country. Do you believe in Christian forgiveness? I'll bet you there are many young tearaways right now in Basildon and elsewhere who are being sent off to young offenders institutes who may well go on to lives of repetitive crime, maybe even violent crime. This is an example of a human being who's picked himself up from a terrible situation and made a big success of it. But tell you what, we're busy, right? We're building a new political party. You are talking about a spent conviction from 20 years ago. What's happened is happened. Whether there are discrepancies or not, I don't know. What I know is he's a fine young man who's turned out really very, very well. Let's worry about where we are today. Let's worry about where the country's going. Let's worry about the fact we're getting poorer. Let's worry about the fact that our communities are breaking down, that people are scared to walk on the streets of London, where I'm saying a spent conviction is irrelevant. Okay. You're quite right.
So it's Christian forgiveness for Mr. Woman Beater McMurdoch, but it's lock up and throw away the key for everyone else, especially if they have a brown skin colour. Makes me wonder just what was Mr. Murdoch's mitigation. Was it my girlfriend ran very fast several times into my boot with her face and stomach? Honest gov. So what if he's now a model citizen and is more of a born-again Christian than Cliff Richard? He has a conviction for assaulting a woman. Would Mr. McMurdoch pass your new and improved value added with Wings vetting process?
We've got 100,000 members. I've got 1 million followers on TikTok. Dame Andrew Jenkins has just joined us. She's our candidate for Greater Lincolnshire. You've had your fun. I'm off for lunch. Thank you.
Or is poor little Smeagol upset? Doesn't like that he is actually getting scrutinised for once, instead of having his balls tickled by the likes of Nick Ferrari, G. Beebies and Squawk Shake TV. Off you trot. We wouldn't want you to be late for din-dins, would we? Repeat after me, fuck Farage.
It looks like Smeagol has taken his ball and run off. You really upset his poor, fragile little ego, Sir Curry and a beer. Just such a pity that it is not real, and that you are such a weak, spineless prick in reality, and would rather fuck over the poorest and weakest than make the real difficult decision and tax wealth, not work. You've spent far too long trying to out-farage, sucking on Trump's tiny orange mushroom in your stupid attempt at avoiding doing what actually needs to be done. It's too late for you to act the big man with Froggy Boy. Calling his policies racist now is not going to save your job. Sir Curry and a beer, the exit door, has your name written on it.
That was very harsh and cruel of you to say such things about my beloved idol and the man of my dreams, Sir Curry and a beer. He is omnipotent, a god amongst mere mortal men, and I shall love him until the day that I die. Anyway, after using up my last box of Kleenex and wearing out my crusty sock listening to my beloved Sir Curry and a beer, it has been left up to me to say goodbye for now to all you lovely shady bunches from myself, Cockhead Dundee, and those lovely chaps over at All Sharts until the next episode of the Shady Bunch. Thank you for joining us,